So this video is about how to use Python to write the MongoDB code to query some command from the database. Yeah. So before we talk about how to use Python to connect to MongoDB, first, let's just quickly look at the database, original database. So this database is something related to the personal information, bank information account. So and this is a JSON file, and in a particular items, it contains the first name, last name, email, and gender, and this is a nested structures. So which means in the address file, actually there are several subfile file in this address one, and also the card file inside this file there are several attributes like card numbers, card type, and currency, and balance. And the last the last attributes is called the marriage status. It shows whether people is married or not. Yeah, and for this particular data set, it has 200 data points. So actually, this is not a big data set, but I think the diversity within it, so we can use this data set for our MongoDB implementation. Yeah. So this is the code for how to use MongoDB within Python. And yeah, just let me first command some rows before we continue. Yeah. So, okay. So if you want to use MongoDB within the Python, there must be a driver, a library you need to use. In this case, this package library is called PyMongo. So we use PyMongo to build the connections between the MongoDB servers with our local Python script. And also we need to import JSON because the original dataset is JSON format. So if we need to use the JSON package to load the JSON file and upload the file to the MongoDB servers. Yeah. And so how to specifically how to connect the MongoDB with the Python local script. Actually, we need the URL, the URI. Actually, it's specific the password and some URL to construct this one, and we use this one as an API keys to active the servers itself, and then we use this line to hack into the MongoDB servers. So if we pin to the server successfully, it will print something. Otherwise, it will throw away an exception, and we can see the exception in details if that could happen. And yeah, and after we connect the connection to MongoDB successfully, then we need to create the database itself. So in MongoDB, actually, we don't have to create any table or database schemas. Instead, we need to create collections. So it turns out that in MongoDB, collections means table in circle in SQL. So that is the reason why we need to create a collection instead of relational table. And after we create the database and the collections, we need to put our the JSON data into these collections, into this the pseudo table we call it. And this is just a way to open the JSON file. And after we load the JSON data into the MongoDB server successfully, we can print some things. In my case, it just show how many documents we upload to the JSON server, the MongoDB servers. Yeah. So let me run this to see the result. Okay, it just shows that I successfully connect to MongoDB, and actually there's a total 200 documents are uploaded to the MongoDB servers. And if we back to the JSON file, it's just a 200 row, the 200 data points. So which means all the the data within this file is uploaded successfully. And then we can actually do some basic, the queries, just like we did during the class sessions with the SQL language. Yeah. For instance, like we can query the female users, or we can query some male users who has married. So this is just a basic queries. And since just I mentioned before, within the MongoDB, it's actually we use the collections instead of tables. So every the operation we want to do actually is based on the collection instead of the table. So that is the reason why this command is called the collection.find. So which means we need to find some attributes within the collections. So let me just quickly run this to see the results. Yeah. Yeah, we get some result from this. So since the data set is pretty large, and I run the two queries simultaneously, so it's not easy to see. So let me just quickly explain this. So first, like this one, we want to query the male users who has married. So if you back to the results, you can see that the marriage status is true. And at the same time, the the gender is male, which means that our queries is correct and successfully. Yeah. So this is just a basic the query that we did, in the traditional SQL. So it's not very hard. So let's do some the difficult query this time. So first is like if we want to find the users, the users the balance is greater than 5,000 US dollars. So in this case, the query looks like pretty the complicated than the previous ones, but actually this is pretty easy to understand as well. So since we need to find some things from the collections, it's still the collection dot find. We still need to use this, but in addition to this, we need to do some operation logically. And for instance, like we use these symbols to represent the let the query to do some the difficult calculations. And the $ GT means that a greater than. And also we need to throw the $ from the string like this one, and then we need to convert this string to the number. Then we can do the comparison. So we can write the query like this, and finally we can get the result. Just let me run this. Yeah. So you can see that all the JSON format results shows that the balance is greater than 5,000, which means that our mm, our result is correct. But to be honest, this code looks much the complicated than the circle itself because this design. Yeah. So let me command this and do this and do another query. So this time we want to find all the users from different states. So this is just like a grouping functions within a circle. So which means we need to separate all the users by their group of different users by their states, and then we aggregate them together to find the total number user from different states. So this is a $sign group, which means we will use the group by functions, and then the group by is according to the address because we want to find the different states. And then the sum equals 1, which means that if we find this kind of users, the total sum is add to 1. And then we can see the result again. Yeah, so you can easily see that even though this is a non-relational database, we still can do the same things like we do in the traditional database like SQL. So you can see that all the users from different states like New York or Texas. So you can see the total number of users, it's calculated by these functions. And in addition to this kind of basic queries, actually we can do some the basic operations as well, like the deletions or updating some things. These kind of things could be done in the MongoDB. So first is like the deletions. So if we want to according some the email address to delete some users, we still can do this. But this time we not going to use the collection.find the functions. Actually, we change the functions to the collection.delete one, and to see this ones we need to run the whole script again. Yeah. So you can see that according to this email, we find this email and delete this all the row, all the attributes in for this specific email. And then if we find this kind of users, we just print some things. So like you see right now, the users has been deleted. So which means we find this users with this specific email, then we delete from our MongoDB database. So it's pretty easy for the deletions. And also we can update some things as well. So like this queries. Yeah, like these queries. So let me clean the terminal. And yeah, for this one, if we want to update some things, firstly we find the users with this specific email. Then we change the marriage status from true to false. And then we use the collection.update1 functions. And in these ones, we need to specific two things. The first one is it's a specific criteria, which means what attributes should be used for the updating. In our case, this time is a email, and then we use a dollar site, which means we want to update a new attribute. We want to update the original attributes to the new one. So in our case, this is married status, and to the new married status is full. Yeah. So run this code. If we update the thing successfully, it still can print out something. yeah, it just shows that this users has been updated. So which means our operations is successful. Actually, we can delete this ones. Command this one. Yeah. And also we can do some, operations in MongoDB, like sorting. So in this case, it just sorting by the user's last name. It's just alphabet sortings, and then we can get the results is sorted by their last name. So due to the time limits, I won't print this out, but the result is very easy to understand. Yeah, just command this line again. And also, actually, in the MongoDB, we also have a count functionalities. Actually, the count functionalities is not unique in the SQL, in the traditional relational database. Actually, in the non-relational database like MongoDB, it still can count some things. So, for instance, like if we use the collection.count documents, so it will give us how many the people's has married, and then it just return the results. So in this case, we don't have to use the dollar sign one dollar sign equal one. Actually, we use count functionalities, and then we can get the same result just like the sum function. Yeah. And the last part is the most important one for the database is called the indexing. So by using index, we can speed up the query process. So this is pretty the important part for the database. And for MongoDB, actually it uses a B tree instead of a B path tree. So there's just a minor difference between the B path tree and the B trees, but actually, the indexing is pretty useful, and I will show this later. But just to see how to create the index in MongoDB first. So if we want to create some the index for the specific attributes, we need to write it down. So for instance, like if we want to create an index, we can use the collection dot create an index and specific the column we want to index for, and then if this is successful, it will print some things. And after the creating the index, we can do this. We can do the queries for this specific attributes again. Just like just like the query, just like basic query. And to show you guys the differences between the index, the powerfulness, how the powerful of the index is, actually, I use the time to record, the running time, for the same queries. So before creating the index, actually, the specific, the query process consume the 0.3 seconds. And then we create the index. And after creating index, we do the same query again. And this time you can see that it just spent the 0.2 seconds. It's just a quick, it's just a quick allowed. Yeah, a faster allowed. So think about if we have a bulk, a large number amount of the data, if we don't create the index, I think this is quite time consuming. But if we create an index on specific query, specific attributes, I think the process is faster. Yeah. And the last one is how to delete the index. We use the drop index functions for a specific, the index name, and then we can drop this index. Yeah, this is just basically to show how we can use Python to do, to manipulate data in the MongoDBs. Yeah, thank you so much.